Hello, and welcome again to the video version of Tuesday Tapestry. Today, we're taking up the theme of hospitality. And I'm very honored and happy to have with me today Father Martin Diaz, who is pastor of St. Therese Parish in Midvale, and Mrs. Maria de la Cruz Gray, who is the director of our Hispanic ministry and also a very energetic leader of so many of our activities here in the diocese. So welcome to you both.
Thank you, Bishop.
Today we're going to talk about a very important theme. It's the theme of hospitality. Now, perhaps when you first hear this, you might think of, Emily Post, Miss Manners, how to be a good host or hostess, how to be hospitable. And these are all, it's all certainly part of hospitality. But we're talking about hospitality today in terms of what it is to be church, what it is to be a disciple of Jesus Christ, to be open to people, to be welcoming, to being able to see Christ in others. This is a wonderful topic, and one that I hope you'll think about with us today as we get into this version of Tuesday Tapestry. And so maybe just to begin, maybe I might just ask you both, from your perspective, how does hospitality play a role in your various ministries in our diocese? How do you see hospitality at work? What is the way hospitality would look, say, in St. Teresa's, or say, in your work with our Spanish-speaking community?
Hospitality, for me, is to be friendly to everyone that encounters us. Therefore, the hospitality is something primordial in our office. We are dealing with people. If people don't come to my office, as well we close it. So we are very sure that everybody that come to our office feel welcome.
In my parish, we've just started a program of greeters. So at the English-speaking masses, we have the women from our women's group who are out there greeting the people as they come in. And we encourage them to greet the people they don't know. But they also greet the people they do know. And so part of hospitality for me is not just the stranger, but the people we know, making everyone feel welcome each time they come into church. Another idea I think to put out there is something I recently was thinking about in terms of the Spanish-speaking in my parish, which are the majority of the people, that they need to be welcoming to the parishioners who are already there first. So we often think of the, quote, English-speaking as the people who are here first, and so that they're welcoming the new people, the Spanish-speaking. But now that the parish is mostly Spanish-speaking by numbers, that it's a challenge to the Spanish-speaking to welcome those, so that everyone is working on hospitality, welcoming one another. So just two ideas, I think.
Wonderful point that the hospitality goes both ways. We're all called to be hospitable. That all of us at one time or another are a stranger. We're ill at ease, or we feel awkward, or do I belong or not? And then when someone comes up at church before Mass and says, "Welcome, it's good to have you here," you feel, "Wow, this is great. They want me here." Say a little bit more, though. I'm interested. You both mentioned, of course, Maria. You work so much with our Spanish-speaking cultures.
Yes.
And Father Martin, you are a pastor in a culture of a parish that really is predominantly Spanish-speaking, I think I can say. And so, what are some of the challenges to hospitality that you perceive in our diocese?
Well, I think one of the difficulties that's been recently expressed is language. In talking with, especially the parish council in English, so a couple of them expressing, we want to sit down, we want to be at the same table, but language. And so we're working on a program to teach Spanish. So we're going to do Spanish as a second language. So we're trying to get it organized and see if we can do that. And I see it as a real sign of hope in the parish, that there are so many people that want to be with one another. They want to sit down with each other. So I think that language is a challenge that way. And I think in our society, everyone goes to their own group. You just feel more comfortable sitting with the people that you already know. So some of it is just our just human sense that how do I break out of my comfort zone and get to talk to somebody who's different. I see it, we have coffee and donuts after the morning masses. And sure enough, you go into coffee and donuts and, there's 8 tables and there's 4 people at each of the 8 tables instead of, everyone sitting around a couple of tables to get to know each other. So we just, even in the same language, we just sit with the same people over and over again. So kind of, I think part of it is challenging ourselves to say, wait a minute, let's go sit with someone new.
And that's a good point, Father. I think that you and I, of course, just are off of a workshop we have with the priests of the diocese on intercultural themes. And that was one of the points that our presenter made, Father Alan Figueroa Deck, is that a very natural human response to something new, to something different, is fear. And I think one of the great blocks, as you're saying, to hospitality is fear. We're afraid to introduce ourselves. We're afraid of the unknown. We're not sure what to say, how to act, and so we just tend not to leave our comfort zone.
I remember around 5 years ago in one of our parishes, St. Mary's in Park City. Most of the American children ski in Park City. There are many Hispanic kids there. The parents are working there for some other jobs than, just cleaning the snow or something like that. And they were quite envious because they couldn't go to ski. It cost too much money. And the pastor in the parish have the wonderful idea to ask the parents that can afford it to pay the lessons, not only for the children, their children, but also for the Hispanic children. And they did kind of a contract, and they decided the people that could afford it will pay the ski lessons, and those people that they couldn't afford it, they will do something gracious for them. And that happened. That winter, everybody went to ski. At the end of the season, the Hispanic mothers did a beautiful Hispanic celebration for an appreciation of these parents that contribute for the children to learn how to ski. The language was not really a barrier, but the smile in their faces and how everybody communicate with everybody, and they were so happy. It was something that I will never forget, how everybody contribute whatever they have. And since then, many of the parents became friends, and a lot of those kids now are very good skis people. They can ski wonderful. And to me, that's a wonderful example of hospitality.
Hospitality led to some wonderful friendships. Father Diaz, anything you want to say about hospitality before we close?
Just for me, that we really never know who's coming to us. And especially in a parish, we know the parishioners who are there all the time. We don't know who's coming back to the church after many years away. Who is that person who's lonely, kind of, they've just come, and this is their moment. They've come, and they just come to pray with us, and when we welcome them, it makes all the difference in the world. Right?
I like what you say, and of course, I remember I was listening to someone just recently who was mentioning that every single person that we encounter is struggling. Every human being is struggling. This isn't a negative view of life. It's just an honest admission that life is a struggle. Scott Peck's book, The Road Less Traveled, the first sentence, life is difficult. Everyone we meet is struggling. And how good of us to be hospitable, to acknowledge that, and just to be a little oasis in the desert of that struggle for people. As it turns out, as we tape today's version of Tuesday Tapestry, it is October the 7th. We don't usually give the date because we're never sure of exactly when we're going to go online with our versions, but I'm doing it now because this is the feast of Our Lady of the Rosary. And on Sunday, October the 16th, we're going to have a very special event in our diocese. This is the first of its kind that I'm aware of. And we're going to gather at 5 o'clock at the Cathedral of the Madeleine. And we're going to process with approximately 18 different images of Mary, this being the month of Mary, one of the two main months of Mary, October and May. And so we're going to process and recite the Rosary as we process, and we'll end up at our Cathedral of the Madeleine Choir School grounds, where we'll have a Mass. So if you're available, please join us. Bring your rosary beads, bring your devotion to Mary, bring some good walking shoes, and probably, if you're a good Utah, bring a little rain gear just in case, and get ready for a wonderful celebration where we'll honor Mary and pray the Rosary together. Well, thanks again for joining us for our video version of Tuesday Tapestry. Blessings on you and your loved ones, and all the best to you.